Today we're going to talk about slope-intercept form. In order to write an equation in slope-intercept form, you need two things. You need your slope and you need your intercept. Now this equation right here is written in slope-intercept form. To use this form, what we're going to do is we're going to take this m value and we'll replace it with our slope, and we take this b value and we replace it with our y-intercept. So as long as you know your slope and your intercept, you can write this equation. Let me show you. So here is a line, and we want to write the equation of this line in slope-intercept form. So first thing we're going to do is identify our slope. So I'm going to find 2 points, and I'm going to look for the rise and the run between those 2 points. So in this case, my rise is 1, and my run is 2, which means this line has a slope of 1 over 2. The next thing I need is my y-intercept. So the y-intercept is the place where your line crosses your y-axis, which is right here. Now this ordered pair is 0, 2. Your y-intercept is just the y value here. So our y-intercept in this case is 2. Now to write this equation, remember the form for slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. We keep the y and the equals the same. We're going to replace that m with our slope, so we have 1/2. Our x stays the same, and I'm going to replace that plus b with my y-intercept. My y-intercept is positive 2, so I'll put plus 2. Okay, we'll do one more, and then I'm going to move on to another concept with you. So look at this graph on the left. Again, first thing to do is identify your slope. So from point to point, you're going to look for your rise and your run. We have a rise of 3. We have a run of 2. So my slope, if I think about rise and run, we have a rise of 3, slope of 2. So my slope is 3 over 2. My y-intercept, the place where we cross that y-axis. So again, if I look for the ordered pair here, it's 0, 1, 2, -4. So we're looking for just the y value, so my y-intercept is going to be -4. And then to write my equation, remember, y equals mx plus b. My y stays the same. I replace my m with my slope, which is 3 over 2. My x stays the same. Now this time when I replace this b, instead of writing plus and then my y-intercept, which is -4, I wouldn't write plus -4. I'm going to simplify that, and I'm just going to have -4. Okay, so this is how we can write the equation of a line. I'm going to skip this problem on the right for a second. I'll come back to it at the end. But I want to talk about one more concept, and this is how you can graph a line if you're just given an equation in slope-intercept form. So you still need the same pieces of information. We need our slope, which again is that number that comes right before the x. So in this case, my slope is 1/2, and my y-intercept is this value over here. Now it's important for you to know that this is -3, because that means my y-intercept is going to be down at -3. Now, in the past when we wrote equations, we had a change value and a starting point. So this 3, remember we said this is our starting value. Our starting point was always where x equals 0. That's our y-intercept. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to graph this -3, this y-intercept, on my graph. And then I'm going to use my slope. Now remember, when you have a slope, you have a rise and a run. So rise, in this case, means I'm going to go up 1. My run means I'm going to go to the right 2 places. So from this starting point, I'm going to use my slope up 1 over 2, and I'm going to make another dot. And I'm going to continue that pattern. I can also continue this pattern backwards to get a whole bunch of dots. And once I have a whole bunch of dots, what I'm going to do is take them in a ruler. Oops, that's not what I want. I'm going to take them with a ruler, and I'm going to combine them together, connect them to make a line. Now remember, lines go on and on forever, so we want to put arrows on the end here. I'm trying to make the arrow the same color as the line. There we go. All right, so at this point, if you think you've got it, go ahead and pause the video, do the 2 problems on the front that we haven't done yet, but then go back and watch and check your answers before you start on your own problems. If you still want to follow along with me, let's go. So in this next problem here, we're going to find our slope, which is -3. Now remember, slope talks about rise and run. And when you have a whole number like this, that means our run is going to be 1. So a rise of -3 means at that time we're going to go down 3, but I'm still always going to go to the right 1 spot. My y-intercept is +5. Remember, that's our starting value. So when it comes to graphing this line, we're going to start at +5. So from my origin here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to start, that's my starting point. Now I'm going to use my slope, down 3 over 1. So down 3 over 1. Down 3 over 1. And I'm going to put a whole bunch of dots. And then finally, remember, our last step is going to be to connect these dots together to create a line. Okay? Don't forget your arrows. Let's do one more problem back at on the top here. Whoops. This one we skipped. We want to write the equation for this line. So we're going to start off looking for our slope. Rise and run. So we've got a rise of 2, a run of 1. Now remember, this line is a negative slope, right? So it's going to be -2 over 1, which really will simplify to just -2. Next, we want our y-intercept, our place where we cross our y-axis, which is right here. If I count that up, remember this ordered pair would be 0, 4, but I only care about that y value of that, so my y-intercept is going to be 4. Now it's time to write our equation. Y equals mx plus b. So we got to replace that slope. Oops. So we got y equals, we're going to replace our slope in our simplest form, so we're going to have -2, and then x, and then plus our y-intercept, because our y-intercept is positive, it's going to be +4. So go ahead, try on your own problems, and then we'll talk tomorrow in class.